I've been in free agency and off-season mode, though, for
a
at
while
least 2
now.
months with the Commanders. Let's be honest here. That's why you just get to the point where if your team's not in the playoffs and certainly not in the Super Bowl, you look around and go, all right, can we get this done? We got an off-season. We got things to fix here. That's where I've been for a while. And now today, Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb out in Miami. Commanders could use an edge rusher and probably about 5 more. They could use a receiver.
Yeah. And they got the money to spend.
And that's the key, is that you can have the money to spend, but you also got to make smart decisions. That being said, you have to bring in more talent, period. Even if you're going to get some guys that are in a spot where, all right, you're going to get a couple years out of them max. You're going to have some older, here's what I need to just explain to people. There will be some older guys on this roster. I know it needs to get younger. I know it's an older roster, but you might have Von Miller back. He had 8 sacks for him this season. You might, you make that face, but Von Miller was their best pass rusher this year. It's not saying much, but you might have him back next year in a limited role.
I know. That's the thing that's tough. Production-wise, it's hard to say, well, he sucked. He didn't.
Yeah.
He produced. But I almost think you have to say at some point, where are we going with this? Because at most, you're going with him for 1 more year.
Right.
So I would rather turn the page. I don't want to say early because it's not early on Von Miller at this point, but I would rather turn the page even though he produced statistically for you last year. He produced statistically on a defense, Nick, that was god-awful.
I mean, they don't even know how to tackle, Zabe.
No,
it's like
terrible.
having a car that doesn't have an engine. That's essentially what they had, is guys on defense that couldn't tackle.
They were the easiest, sluttiest girl in high school as a defense last year. It was not pretty.
Then had their OnlyFans, right?
It took very little coaching to get their pants off last year. Just saying.
It's just, please enter
right.
the bedroom. Everything's
it was
here.
really bad. So, how do you value that? I don't know.
I know.
The Tyreek Hill thing is interesting because you say, damn, we got a quarterback who's got an arm that can get it to him down there. So the phrase of Tyreek down there somewhere used to be a great phrase until Noodle Arm Jellyhead down there, Tua, couldn't get him the ball down there. That was part of the problem. He just didn't have a strong enough arm.
Nope. Accurate, but not strong.
Right. It's tempting to think, imagine JD5 slinging it to a revitalized Tyreek Hill who's not getting bored with running 9 routes that turn out to be nothings because Tua can't find him or get him the ball. Like that.
Everything in these situations comes down to money, though. Debo comes down to money and whether he's back. I don't think he's going to be. But, again, they only gave up a 5th-round pick. I think you're going to end up seeing somebody pay him more like the Panthers. He might go back home, play for the Panthers. The market value on him is still looking at about $15 million a year. They paid him $17.5 this year. For $15 million, would you pay with all of with the holdback that they had on Terry McLaurin, who was over 30?
Right.
You're looking at the same thing with Debo Samuel, who's had more injuries over his career.
Listen, I agree. My personal feeling is let Debo walk. But my overall reading of the room is that they'll probably keep him because they're more pot committed. They spent assets to get him, and there is that Peters connection. The Peters connection cannot be discounted. These GMs love the guys they know, and they're almost blind to, yeah, but he's this, or yeah, but he's not that. They don't want to hear that. They like their guys. This is what makes the Aiyuk thing so, I think, dangerous, which I want no part of Brandon Aiyuk.
Neither do I.
0.
Neither do I. But you know what's going to happen? Brandon Aiyuk is going to come to Washington. I'm telling you, this is going to happen because if even at the Super Bowl, Jaden Daniels was going around doing interviews and talking about wanting, quote-unquote, former Arizona State teammates to come play, which is Rachaad White, and it's Brandon Aiyuk. Now, Brandon Aiyuk, from a talent perspective, sure, that was a year and a half before. That was without a year and a half out of football, though. Then there's all of the other stuff in terms of his relationship with the organization and how he's handled things and why this organization's been so willing to let him go and they were going to trade him to the Steelers before the big deal. All of these things. I get that there is talent there and people are tempted because they see it and there's a familiarity and there's, if he's around Jaden, it's his friend. So what? Friends and business don't mix well because if you have Brandon Aiyuk in Washington and he's on a 1 or even 2 year deal, He's going to be looking for another big contract. And what happens if he's not getting the ball? Terry McLaurin's getting more targets because now there's actually a distraction from Terry McLaurin, and he's not constantly seeing double teams. And then Brandon Aiyuk goes 3 straight weeks without seeing significant targets. How does that friendship with Jaden Daniels translate over to him not getting the targets and the receptions he needs to get a bigger contract moving forward? These are the things that people like to overlook, and that's the biggest thing you've got to... They don't have a culture right now there yet where they can absorb somebody that's got an ego, that got somebody that maybe had some clashing of personalities in a previous organization where they could say, you come in, you buy in, you do what we're doing, that's it. The Chiefs, you could maybe make that work. The Patriots, again, just like the old Patriots, you could do that. The Commanders aren't there yet. Brandon Aiyuk, any form of a distraction could derail what they're trying to build right now.
I also don't think he's that good. Before he went off
way too
the
up
rails.
and down. Talk to any 49ers fan anybody covered the team. Yes.
I was like, I see him every week, and I think to myself, I don't know what makes him different than any other run-of-the-mill wide receivers. By the way, I forgot, I was thinking Tyreek Hill had a wrist injury last year. I forgot he tore his knee up. So his knee blew up in multiple ligaments. Very gruesome injury on that tackle on the sideline. So who knows what you're going to get on the other side of the 9 to 12 month recovery, and we're currently in probably week or month 3 of it now.
Yep.
Because he played 4 games last year. So if it's a 9-month recovery, then he's good to go by training camp. If it's more than that, he may not be good to go. And then how much lid lifting ability will he have post this catastrophic
And that's
injury?
the thing. He's on the other side of 30.
He's 31.
He's dealt with a knee injury. His game is predicated on speed. If you get a 75% of Tyreek Hill, is that really worth it? Again, all this comes down to money, but at that point...
Now that I remembered he tore his knee up, I'm like, I'm out.
And that's
I'm like on Shark Tank. I'm Mr. Wonderful. I'm sorry, I'm out.
But so did Brandon Aiyuk. So if you had to have the choice now, Zabe, I'm making you have a choice. Brandon Aiyuk or Tyreek Hill?
Neither guy.
You have to pick one.
No, I don't.
How can you justify one? Me. I'm making the rules.
Oh, God.
You got to pick one. I'll tell you who I'd pick.
I'd pick Tyreek because I really just think Aiyuk, Tyreek, when he's right, is a one-of-one weapon.
But when was the last time he was there?
3 years ago. I'm looking at his grid. His grid of stats on Pro Football Reference, age 29 season. 16 games.
Yep.
He had 119 catches for 1,800 yards, 13 touchdowns, and a yards per catch of 15.1.
But here's
Tyreek
the difference.
Down there somewhere.
But he's 31 years old, coming off a torn up knee. If I had to make
with
the choice,
17 baby mamas,
if you put a gun to my head right now, Zabe, and it's you've got to pick one, and I'm not happy about this choice, but I'd go Brandon Aiyuk because he's 27. And at least he's on the right side, and it's easier to recover from a torn-up knee when you're in your 20s than your 30s. All of these things matter. I don't like either choice, but if I also had to make a prediction, I think Aiyuk does come to Washington because Jaden Daniels is going to talk to that organization and say, guys, we need more. Terry needs somebody to be, as a distraction. We need a number 2. What for the entire time that Terry McLaurin has been in burgundy and gold, we have had the conversation of we need a number 2. We need somebody opposite Terry McLaurin.
Get more weapons.
Get more weapons. And for all of the conversation about how much this defense needs, which is all true, the offense needs a lot of help too. You need a number 2 receiver. You're going to need a tight end that you can count on. You're going to need somebody else in that backfield as a running back. There's a lot of things that this offense needs too. So it's not just all about the defense. This offense is ready to go. They need help on both sides of the football.
The class, according to Pro Football Reference, is a little bit mangy at wide receiver for free agents. Tyreek Hill is at the top of the list only based on the sort by previous AAV. That's how they sorted it.
Yeah.
Mike Evans is 2. 30, what is he? Where's his
33,
age?
I think.
Okay.
I don't think he leaves Tampa, though.
Christian Kirk.
No, want nothing to do with him.
From the Texans. Debo is 4th on the list, according to SpotRack.com. De'Ami Brown for the Jaguars. You want to bring him back?
You know what? For a small price, why not? He's familiar with the team. For depth.
Two Atwell from the Rams.
So if you're looking for speed, it's there. The problem is it he's somebody that would have thrived in Sean McVay's offense, and he never got the consistency that you were hoping for there. So that worries.
There's a lot of fast guys with average hands or just can't run routes.
Yes.
Marquise Brown, next on the list, is exactly that guy.
Yeah.
Another fast guy who's just whatever. Juwan Jennings for the Niners. Now, if we're going to shop at the Niners store,
I'd go Juwan Jennings.
I would shop Juwan Jennings because he'll be a lot cheaper. And I think he's got some dog, sort of traits to him. Khalif Raymond is next. Rashid Shaheed is a UFA.
He's going to
from
be
the
coveted.
Seahawks.
There's another name you haven't mentioned yet.
DeAndre Hopkins is still around at 33 and a half years old.
No, thank you. We don't need to go older at receiver.
Greg Dortch, Noah Brown, Keenan Allen, Jahan Dotson, Josh Reynolds, and beyond that, I don't even want to read the names because you're really
there's one that you did forget that actually would be. It's probably
difference maker.
Alec Pierce,
receiver
really? Out of the Colts, from the Colts. Yeah, because he's somebody that would be.
Why is he not on my list?
It might just be based on.
Oh yeah, there it is, way down there.
Because you're looking at they're basing it on what he made previously, right?
Okay.
Not in terms. This isn't ranking in terms of skill set. So,
hey, look at this. Juju Smith-Schuster's still in the league.
Yeah,
still don't want him, though.
No.
Thank you for asking.
No, the pickings are slim when it comes to free agent.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling still in the league.
Yeah.
Don't want him either.
You get 1 or 2 deep balls a year from him. Listen, if you're looking for a deep threat, Alec Pierce is that guy, but he's going to probably need about $20 million a year. That's what it's going to cost. But he's not even 26 years old, and he's somebody that can take the top off of a defense. So there's at least a benefit there. I just think if they're going to go to the free agent market, they're going to get a prove-it deal for Brandon Aiyuk, and maybe it's even 2 years. The first year is show us what you can do, missing a year and a half of football, and then the second year is the real year. They draft another wide receiver. They got a couple of young guys.
Can we just spend our money on defense?
I would prefer it.
Reading this list of purchasable wideouts has only sort of depressed me.
Zabe, can I interest you in the free agent market on edge rushers, though, real quick?
Please do.
Trey Hendrickson, 31 years old. Just made $29 million a year and has been arguing with the Bengals for years over his deal. Gonna want to get paid. Bradley Chubb, now on the market, maybe.
Hold on, is Trey available?
He's a free agent. He's an unrestricted free agent.
So he ran himself out the door.
He ran himself.
Unless they tag him.
They could tag him.
Okay.
So that's we have to wait until March 3rd, I think, is the last day to tag players.
I was never a Hendrickson truther. But a lot of that, he didn't have a good year. A lot of that, though, had to do with the fact you were going to have to trade for him and then pay him. If I just have to pay him, that changes the equation.
But at 31 years old, what are you giving him?
I know. I'm more open to the idea. I'm not wild about it. Go on.
So you've got Bradley Chubb now on the market.
Shook free
from Miami, so maybe it's a 1-year deal. So there's somebody that can help you with that. Khalil Mack is next up. He's 35 almost. God. Hassan Reddick's 31. Joey Bosa's almost 31.
Where did you get Khalil Mack?
How about Leonard Floyd, who's 33? I mean, this is what you have on the free agent market with receivers and edge rushers, and that's why the draft is going to be so important, is they're going to be looking for some guys that are cheaper, even though they've got the cap space, and younger for the oldest roster in the NFL. Free agent Trey Hendrickson is a previous regime free agent signing. I don't think that's this team unless he's willing to take a short-term deal. If Trey Hendrickson comes in at 2 years, okay, but he's not going to take a 2-year, $50-something million deal. He's going to want to get paid. It's probably his last payday. And in the past, you came to Washington for that one extra last payday, and they're not going to do that this time around.
I'm trying to sort through in my brain the notion of bringing back Von Miller and then adding Khalil Mack. And then just sit back with our arms folded like, look at how good we are from 6 years ago.
Right, it would be a great
what
edge.
a sick, we got both these guys. Look how sick we are.
and that's really what we're looking at now.
2018 called and said congratulations on that edge pair you've got
and really what it comes down to, if you're looking at free agent edge rushers, you're going to have to identify talent that you think will be in a spot to succeed getting a bigger opportunity like a Dorrance Armstrong, who was their best pass rusher before he got hurt this year. So if you're going to be able to look at somebody that's, say, 24, 25 years old, hitting that free agent market, and this is an opportunity to give them an expanded role in this defense, then it's a different setup. But they're going to have to really draft well this draft because there's not a ton. The biggest positions of need for them, well, everything is on defense. But when it comes to edge rusher, there's not a lot in free agency. That's why I say trade for Max Crosby. Again,
Oh,
he's 28.
here we go.
And let me point this out to you too, Zabe. I've been saying this since December, and everybody yelled at me on social media for this, and now everybody's talking about trading for Max Crosby. I was the early adopter, thank you very much. Now everybody's like, Max Crosby to the Commanders. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, of course it does. And what I would rather see them do, because again, look at this free agent market. This is a need, and this is somebody that wants out. This is somebody that you now know wants out. It's public, even though we won't say it publicly. So the market is slightly down where you can say, listen, Raiders, he might not show up. We'll offer you a first. Here's a second down the road.
God, no.
It's going to happen.
No.
What
no
else are you
firsts.
going to do? What else are you doing?
No first.
What else are you doing?
Draft players with our first rounders. Don't give them away.
What happened when they did that with Chase Young? There's no guarantee that somebody that is a great pass
There's also
rusher
no
in college.
guarantee you're going to keep picking rubber chickens with your first round
But
picks.
there's with the position of need they have. This is somebody you know is one of the best edge rushers in the NFL in his prime.
I get it. You have a lot of empty lots on Max Crosby Island. You're the number one landowner there. You want Max Crosby Island to be fully developed so you can make a ton of money.
I would love it.
You have a lot of shares invested in this.
And I'm convincing everyone to buy real estate with it too.
You are
Get in with
pitching
me.
it. Get in now. Get in now before it takes off.
Because listen, Reuben Bain might not be on the board, and I'm not even convinced that 6'3", 275, that he's actually an edge rusher with the short little crocodile arms that he's got going on.
T-Rex arms.
Is David Bailey somebody out of Texas Tech who is very good? Maybe could be a great edge rusher for you, but Max Crosby is. There are not a lot of choices out there. There are not a lot of choices for this team.
This is the truth though about all free agency is that you're getting pretty well used vehicles that have a Carfax report of some degree on them.
There's been at least one accident.
Yeah, otherwise the teams that are letting them go would keep them. That's the bottom line. And you and I have seen over the years with the Danny regime.
Oh God,
boy, they would love buying these guys.
Now, Dante Fowler's a free agent again. He had a good year 1 year here, went back to Dallas, bring him back here again. I mean, this is what you're working with right now.
I know.
This is what you're working with. 800-636-1067. From a wide receiver perspective, Brandon Aiyuk, Tyreek Hill. Zabe wants neither, but he picked one, and he says Tyreek Hill is the guy. Brandon Aiyuk, this is the only time, Zabe, the only time that I would take Brandon Aiyuk is if I think it's happening.
Good Lord.
I think it's happening.
Lord help us.
One of those, Brandon Aiyuk or Tyreek Hill, could be in Washington next year.
Hey.
Which one would you take? 800-636-1067. And if you want to throw an edge rusher in there, you can too. Because now we're getting
never
into the
too early
meats.
to start shopping virtually. Free agency does not begin for another month, I believe.
No, March
12th?
11th. March 11th is the official open of free agency. But
4 weeks.
yeah, well,
28 days.
now let's be honest. Everybody's talking right now. There's stuff going on behind the scenes, even if it's not the legal tampering period.
12
yet.
days left in Feb.
Yep.
By the way, kudos to us. We're almost half done with this miserable month.
Oh, it's so cold
Not
and
bad.
just awful. I'm so over it.
Yesterday was so depressing.
And you know what though?
Dark
It washed away all of the
and
salt and
wet.
melted snow though. I'll take it.